Good afternoon to you all. Welcome to this session on citizen science. I'm Kapil Oberoi, I'm the faculty in the Geoinformatics department at IARS. In this section, uh, we'll cover following points. We'll see the definition of citizen science, along with also understanding the related terminologies that people use when they talk about citizen science, followed by seeing some common examples. Next, we'll talk about what are the various levels of participation in the typical citizen science project, along with seeing some of the advantages. And then finally, we'll see a few case studies that has been undertaken at IARS and ISRO level. So let's see the definition first. So citizen science, there are two words, citizen and science. So it basically refers to the non-professionals. It refers to non-professionals who are acting as a volunteer, thereby in turn supporting the activities involved in a scientific project that could range from data collection activities to analysis and also the data dissemination. So when we talk about citizen science, we are talking about non-professionals who are working as a volunteers supporting the scientific endeavor, and they could participate at various levels. It could range from data collection to analysis and also to the data dissemination. Nowadays, with the penetration of the internet and availability of the smartphones, it has enabled the scientific activities, which are typically limited to the scientist only, can also be undertaken by the common people who could contribute, for example, by collecting data regarding certain phenomena. Maybe let's say, for here example as air samples. So there are various examples. Maybe you can note down these two popular sites. One is a Zoo Universe. Another is the science.nasa.gov/citizen science, where you can find more about some of the projects. So basically, it enables the understanding a particular phenomena wherein the user are contributing the data by using their smartphones. That could be customized application that has been built for a particular purpose. The important thing is the scientific activities that are limited initially to the scientist only can be now undertaken at a vast level using the volunteers that are people on the ground, which could help us at various levels, not only in the data collection, but also in the analysis and other phases of a science project. It is a very, very important and a valuable method in which non-specialists, as I say, non-professionals, who are working purely on the volunteer basis, assist the scientific endeavor. That could be collection of data. But important thing is using the power of the people or the volunteers. For example, if we talk about pure data collection in a short span of time, a lot of data could be collected. This is unlike a specialist who we need to hire and maybe for in order to capture the entire data for the study region, then a lot of effort and a lot of time will be spent in order to get or collect the data. Whereas if you use the power of volunteers or people on the ground, such data sets could be collected in a very fast manner, and they will also have a say on the project wherein they will work as a volunteers assisting in various phases of the project. This citizen science is very, very useful. When you look into the literature, you'll come across various use cases. But mostly, if you see, very popular use case will be in the disaster, because at that time there is a need for knowing the situation on the ground. And then these become your first hand responders who can in turn inform the public authorities, rescue and relief agencies to know about the status on the ground. And this has been widely used during the earthquake in Haiti in 2010 and also in Nepal earthquake in 2015. So as I said, they become as a first kind of responders where they can assist the rescue and relief effort, because in such kind of a disaster event, knowing the situation awareness, what has happened on the ground, where the people affected is very, very vital, and can such data be provided in a very fast amount of time is very, very sought for. because generally during the disaster, most of the let's say the effort is being put into to know what has happened, how many people are affected, where the help is to be provided. So such if the people are on the ground, and they can still report the people in distress, and the necessary rescue and relief effort could be put forward, and then their requirement would be addressed in a limited time. Now, what has led to this kind of a people involvement in a project, a science project, is which we call as a citizen sciences, that the availability of the internet has reached the grassroots level. Also, with the availability of the smartphone, which has a GPS sensor, GPS receiver, the camera, enables the user to gather the valuable data sets that could be geotagged, and then they can also link the photograph, the audio and videos of the event as in when it is happening on the ground. A good child has given a good phrase using the word as citizens as sensors. So citizens can play an active role where they work like a sensor. So hence the place citizens as sensors, where then they can assess the state or the national administration or the official initiatives through gathering and interpreting of the data. So this the availability of the smartphone and the internet has penetrated at the grassroots level, and also the prices of those devices has come down. And then they have allow the people to collect the geotag data along with adding or tagging other information, maybe photographs, also including the audio, video. That becomes a very useful information for to especially let's say in the case of a example of a disaster where the people, the state or the national administration or the officials could know more about what has happened on the ground, and such information is very useful because there is life at stake. Then necessary effort has to be put so that the proper remedial is provided to them so that the relief and rescue agencies can work in an optimum manner. Apart from this disaster, you will come across various other use cases. So that could be related to monitoring of wildlife and environment, bird watch. These kind of activities are also happening long back. People where are contributing where they have seen some endangered species or some other bird they have seen and they are reporting. People are also assisting in the classifying of the images and also in making the return records of the. So there are various levels as we talk about initially in the earlier slides, where there are n number of projects and people could contribute in various levels. Sometimes maybe the data collection, sometimes also in analysis, and sometimes also in the final decision making. But important thing is here the people are involved, and also is a win-win situation for the, let's say, the agency who's floating such projects where the citizens are participating as sensors, and also for the actual people on the ground or the volunteers who are supporting such projects because they will have a say on the project, and then also they will have a linkage to the project saying that yes, I assisted this human endeavor or this kind of a cause for a particular government or agencies by supporting the data collection, analysis, and other kind of phases in the project. Moving forward, citizen science is not a new concept. If you see that the non-spatial domain, if I talk about Wikipedia, is a very important website wherein the people are contributing towards the defining of the people the free content. It is in the various multilingual, and primarily it is a web-based application that people can access. Important, it is freely available and is based on the model of openly editable content, and it is primarily the contribution or collaboration by anonymous volunteers who are contributing towards the creation of this the various encyclopedia contents. Now this the content here is as far as the other contents that you can come across because it goes through the various stages of the review processes. But important is here the volunteers or the people are contributing the content. And also you can see the lineage or how the page content has been changed when there was a last edit, all could be seen. So this is from the non-spatial perspective, but coming to the geospatial perspective, we see the common common example which is quite useful and we use it in generally in our day-to-day life also is the example of an OpenStreetMap. Here, the complete mapping endeavor is done by the volunteers who are contributing towards the creation and generation of data, which is you can access from this OpenStreetMap. Now, this OpenStreetMap portal again has a very important usage, especially during the Haiti earthquake we talked about earlier, wherein initially at the location the proper mapping was not done. I will show in the subsequent slide. So the event in Haiti happened somewhere in January 12, 2010. Magnitude 7 magnitude earthquake hit that place. So the jobs of the rescue and the relief workers were more difficult because as you can see here, at that time, there is lack of information about that place. So if you can see the pre-map, which is of January 12, and then you can see the January 30th map, you see that the volunteers have mapped each and every street and other prominent places in that region. So that becomes very useful, especially for the rescue and aid workers to know how they can reach where are the people in distress, and that becomes a very useful information. Because compare the seeing that if you don't have such information, then it is very difficult for the rescue and relief agencies to plan their operations. Now let's understand with this animation, as I said that initially there were no proper mapping or all the roads and segments were not mapped. The moment that earthquake hits, and then you can see that volunteers have started contributing the data and they start mapping the places. And from 12th onwards to somewhere at the end of the January 2010, you can see that people have just contributed towards the mapping effort, and this becomes a very useful data sets wherein the rescue and aid workers were able to plan their operation in an optimal manner. Not only this, there was also an effort wherein these kind of dashboards were also created where the volunteers were reporting the event from the ground. That could be from web-based or a mobile app. They can submit their incident, and that could be seen as this cluster points on the. And this becomes, as I said, a very useful information because during a disaster, the first hand information is on from the ground is required so that the person can so that the especially the rescue and relief agencies know where are the people in distress and how best to serve them. So first is to identify where those people are, from where the from which places the most of the such requirements or such or the people under distress are there, so that to best to reach to them and then provide the necessary rescue and relief effort. Other examples of this citizen science project is the example of a Google map. Earlier it was a map maker, but now it has been changed to the Google Maps, wherein the people can also add and contribute towards the enrichment of the data sets provided by the how it goes to the various stages before it becomes a part of the main system. But from this, Google Maps also provides a provision on the same. But from the pure open source perspective, we talk about, so there are examples like OpenStreetMap that we talk about. One more example is the Wikimap here, where again the people can contribute by at least mapping the neighborhood or the locality where they have an idea about. But initially we talk about the specialists who are generally used or hired to carry on this task, but people who are from this neighborhood or locality, they know their place well, have good idea about the situation awareness or situation or the location, and they will be best also in an effort to contribute towards the generation of the data sets because they are very well aware of their locality, neighborhood, city, and the other places. Now, from the Bhuvan Geo portal, from the ISRO Geo portal of This also provide this function, this utility known as a Bhuvan mapper. So you can make a note of this. It's called as a Bhuvan mapper. Call as map your city. Here you can also contribute by digitizing either the point, line, and area, and you can also contribute towards the generation of the this mapping data sets. So the good thing about here is that if you contribute the data, you can also download the data and then you can use it in some other projects if you wish to use them. So whatever you have digitized is available to you also, and then you are also contributing towards the enrichment of the data at the Bhuvan level. Now, having understood about the citizen science and let's say the what trigger such things with the penetration of internet and the smartphone availability of the volunteers who want to contribute towards a cause, and then seeing some popular examples like in disaster for wildlife mapping and monitoring, and also some examples like Wikipedia, your OSM or Wikipedia. So we discuss other examples. Now let's talk about how does this term is being used has evolved, and what are the other relevant terminologies that people are using. So initially, it's during 1995, Alan Irwin invented the term called as a citizen science. So somewhere in 1995, the term citizen science was coined uh, in his book Citizen Science, where he highlighted important thing is how people accumulate the knowledge, in order to learn about and response to environmental threats. Later on, the term was modified uh, by Bonney et al. In 2009 from the paper that I have mentioned here. Also later access the slide and see the list of references which I have attached to basically, so the term was modified to refer to the public participation in science and research activity. Following that, there was a whole series of terms that were used to describe this citizen assistance or involvement or volunteer engagement in various projects related to the geospatial domain. So please make a note that the popular other terms that is also you come across in the literature are VGI, which is given by Michael Goodchild, which stands for Volunteer Geographic Information. Other term is crowdsourcing, and third is the PGIS, or we call as a participatory GIS. So the other common term used within this context are VGI, which stands for Volunteer Geographic Information. Second is the crowdsourcing. Just like we outsource a job, here we are saying the crowdsourcing, with the crowd are supporting a particular project in endeavor, and also the participatory GIS or PGIS. As the word suggests, participative, which means the volunteers or contributors are participating in a let's say the local or the regional or national activities related to the GIS. So let's try to understand these terminologies. So first is the VGI or Volunteer Geographic Information. As mentioned, it is coined by Michael Goodchild in 2007 and is primarily talked about user-generated content which are of geographic in nature. We define it as widespread engagement of large number of individuals. So it talks about widespread engagement of large number of individuals or volunteers, often without any formal qualification. So the important word is they are not a specialist, but so they don't have a formal qualification or degree in geomatics or other kind of subjects, but they support in the creation of the geographic information. So the important terms, if you can notice, it is a widespread engagement of a large number of individuals, hence it talks them as a citizen as census. Important thing is they are not the specialists or don't have a formal qualification in, but they assist in the creation of the geographic. The second term is that is used is called as a crowdsource, which describes the involvement of the public in large numbers, again towards solving the complex problem Important thing is there's an open call. So it is so the call is made where the people are voluntarily coming to this and supporting the project at various levels, could be data collection, analysis, and data dissemination. The crowdsourcing, the term was coined by Jeff Howe and Mark Robinson, so that you can note Jeff Howe and Mark Robinson. That was who were the editors of the Wired magazine in 2005. There is also one term that we talk about apart from volunteer geographic information, crowdsourcing. His third term was the PGIS or the participatory GIS. So it describes an approach wherein we are seeking to emphasize the community involvement. So again, if you see, the common word will be community involvement or involvement of volunteers in the production or the use of the geographic. So there are various terms, but if I just can put it in this way, that irrespective of the terminologies that we use, purely we are talking about the same thing, which is the involvement of the volunteers to support the common cause. That could be so as I was mentioning, there's a it primarily talks about the same thing, which is the involvement of the volunteers who are non-specialists, don't have a formal qualification to assist in the various endeavors, project endeavors at various stages, uh, either through the production or the use of the geographic information. One more thing, as you have observed that not all citizen science project will be, let's say, geographic in nature, which means not all the data that you will be capturing or the people will be assisting will be purely from the geospatial tool. So Heckley has also defined one more term called as a geographic citizen science. So he defined it as the citizen science, the projects which are primarily of geographic in nature, the projects which are geographic in nature, wherein volunteers or non-specialists help in data collection and analysis. He called them as a geographical citizen science. Maybe by this Venn diagram, we can understand this in much better sense. So we have a VGI where the people are contributing the data. We also have the citizen science wherein the people on the ground want to contribute towards a noble cause. But if we just look at the intersection of this, which means all the citizen science project wherein the people are contributing the geospatial or the geographic data, that is something we call as the geographic citizen science. So basically it is an intersection of citizen science projects and also the where the people are contributing primarily the geospatial nature kind of an data sets, or they are assisting in a geographic nature kind of an project. That could be data collection, that could be analysis or other level. So hence geographical citizen science basically refers to the intersection of VGI and the citizen science as I talk about. And it is a it is a subtype of and very specific activity in citizen science domain wherein now, so remember that we are talking about geographic citizen science. So we are restricting that the public participates in a scientific research by collecting and analyzing the geospatial data. So the projects where the people are only contributing and analyzing the data sets of geographic in nature, that is something we call as a geographic citizen science. So basically an intersection of volunteer geographic information with the projects that deals with that domain. It is also a good point to see what are the various levels of participation in the citizen science project. So Hackley in 2013 has given a very good paper wherein he has defined the various levels where people can participate. And there are 4 levels, as you can see it from here. So level 1 he named as crowdsourcing, where the people participate as sensors, or they could also contribute towards providing their machine or systems wherein the volunteer computing can be done. The level 2 is termed as a distributed intelligence, wherein the citizens are not only involved in data collection, but they are also as a basic interpreters. Herein, their thinking abilities or is also being utilized. Now, moving forward, the level 3, which is called as a participatory science. Here, not only people are contributing the data or interpreting the data sets, they are also participating in a problem definition and the data collection. So as you see that from the basic level crowdsourcing to the distributed intelligence to the participatory science, how the level of engagement or participation of the people are being emphasized. And level 4, which is he termed as extreme citizen science, also, he talked about the collaborative science where the people are involved not only purely in the problem or data collection, but also in all the phases, which is right from the definition of the problem, data collection, the interpretation, the analysis, and other activities. So this is the levels of participation as he has provided from basic level crowdsourcing to going up to the level 4, which called as extreme citizen science, where he's involved the volunteer or the people are involved at not only at the few levels, but almost all the levels in the project activities. We'll try to see each one of them, try to understand the characteristics of one. So the first level is a very basic level of engagement, which is termed as a crowdsourcing, wherein the role of the volunteers here is to only collect the data. So volunteers can collect the data through the smartphone or some app. The other way is he could also support, for example, by providing their computing resources. So there is a model or complex task that has to be run that require huge computing or memory requirement, and he can provide access to his computing resources. But important thing to note here is that the volunteer's cognitive or thinking ability is least used. He's just uh, providing or collecting the data and then providing it to the agencies who have, let's say, floated this project, or who is supporting that particular project only, purely on the basis of the collecting of the data. But his thinking ability in terms of interpreting data and other things are not utilized here. So he's working as a at the field level, wherein he is assisting the project by collecting the data from the second level is termed as the distributed intelligence. So the second level is a distributed intelligence. Here the thinking ability or the cognitive ability of the volunteers is being utilized, and there are various examples under this category. Popular example is the Galaxy Zoo, wherein this is a crowdsourced astronomy project. So it is a crowdsourced astronomy project where volunteers assist in the understanding the formation of galaxies by classifying them based on different shapes. The URL is galaxyzoo.org. One thing that you'll also recognize that once we say the thinking ability of the volunteers is being used, or the volunteers cognitive ability is being used, here the volunteers are also required to undergo some elementary training before they can contribute towards the data collection and interpretation exercise. So in the distributed intelligence level or the level 2, the citizens are also contributing as interpreters. Their cognitive or thinking abilities also being used. But important here is that for such kind of projects, they are also required to undergo some basic training so that we can also collect and whatever data is being interpreted, confidence level is there that that whatever task is being done by the volunteers is done in a proper manner. So, and also to restrict the, let's say, erroneous data or erroneous interpretation coming into the. Now, the level 3, which we call as a participatory science, here the participants are required to involve in the various phases like problem definition, and wherein he can discuss with the expert or scientist prior to deciding the, let's say, what should be the data collection methodologies, etc. So here he is involved not only purely from the data collection perspective or providing resources for computation or interpretation, but he is also a part of the project wherein he is defining the problem and also defining the proper methodology for data collection. Level 4, which is called as the extreme citizen science. Here, the volunteers are involved in all the stages of the project. So not only in the data collection. So from the problem definition to data collection to also the analysis. So herein he's working as more like a member of the team, not only from the collection of the data or interpretation, but is involved in each and every aspect of the. So as you can see that when we talk about citizen science, we talk about that people involvement through an open call, a large amount of people supporting a particular endeavor. Here you can see how in which levels or in what way they are involved in that project. So you can see that from the basic level to all the extreme citizen science, the user involvements are. Now in there are various good initiatives. Science citizen science projects that you can come across. Here I've listed on primarily under three categories, which is bioresources, disaster, and the governance related applications. So under the bioresources, which is we also discussed during the initial phase that the monitoring of the wildlife, there is a very important use case of the citizen science project. So we'll come across various projects which are running for the long back, like eBird, eButterfly, where the people are collecting bird observations, also collecting butterfly observations. Similarly, iNaturalist, sharing biodiversity related information, and similarly others. Talking from the disaster perspective, so there are various projects like Geotag X or Did You Feel It, which is related to the earthquake, wherein the people can also report if they have feel or feel the occurrence of the earthquake where they are. From the citizens, from the governance perspective, again, it is the involvement of the people or the locality to assist at the municipality or the local or the regional and also the national level. So there are various projects like Air Quality X, where the people are collecting air quality kind of a data sets, which in turn is assisting the main agencies for the proper prediction or monitoring of the air quality. Similarly, there are citizens sense Omni Scientist for order monitoring and various other applications are available. So this is, as I said initially, this is a win-win situations where the volunteers are also contributing and they also be proud to say that for this particular initiative, they also contributed. Also, they have assisted their local people or region or a community in some way or the other. Now, talking about the advantages, so you can appreciate that it is a very fast and efficient approach, wherein instead of having a, let's say, a pure specialist, which is very difficult to hire and he will be finding difficult to collect the data, the large study region in a less amount of time. Herein, we could use the power of people on the ground, and they will be more happy to contribute to the noble cause because it is affecting them, also their region and locality, and also the nation building. Compared to a specialist who are limited in number, and obviously we have seen the different levels of participation. So even for the some project, if some basic training is also provided, is also a good effort wherein a large amount of data could be collected in a very fast manner. Which also brings to the second point that using the power of people or the people on the ground, the huge amount of data could be collected in the less time. I'll show you a few examples in the coming slide. And also it enables the real-time data collection. So because people are nowadays have access to the smartphone and the internet, so they can contribute in near real time. The data could be captured, collected, and also could be used in the decision making. And this has led to the maybe the more, let's say, the smarter data being collected. When we say not only the textual data, but also the, let's say, the location, the photographs, the video, the audio could also be collected and also be maybe sent to the agency, which will be very useful for various projects from, let's say, disaster management to governance and other kinds of applications. Let's also see some case studies here. So first case study is we call as the Manu project, or the Map the Neighborhood in Uttarakhand, which was a Department of Science and Technology initiative where various agencies like IARS, NRSC, Survey of India, and also the various universities in the region like Kumaon universities and other organizations here participated. Now, just to give you a background, in June 2013, in Uttarakhand, state of India, there was a huge devastation which has affected many people, wherein a lot of loss and to property and infrastructure was done. Now, what happens was there was a flood due to the extreme rain events that happened in the higher regions of Himalayas, and also there was a glacier lake outburst flood, or we call it a clough event, and along with the landslide. So this picture I'm showing about holy shrine Kedarnath region. As you can see the pre and the post image, you can see that the complete devastation can observe from these images. Similarly, this is the some other Rambara region. You can see the pre and post how does due to the rushing of the water along with the boulders, the complete area was destroyed. So keeping in mind this, the damage that has happened, and also the very urgent demand for gathering the data onto the ground, this citizen science project called as a Manu project was initiated. So the aim was, so the in this what was done was a mobile app was created wherein different performers were created to capture the damage because of this event to various infrastructure. This was a very simple app. In less than 30 seconds, one can note one location, and then from the field itself, the data could be ported, can be transmitted from the mobile devices to the Bhuvan portal, wherein the visualization can be done along with the other linkages of other various other kinds of data sets. This was primarily an Android-based mobile app. Now, there were various brainstorming sessions were done wherein the performer for collecting the damages were designed. So the various performers that were designed were damage to buildings and infrastructure, which in turn was breakdown into damage to buildings, then damage to infrastructure was further subdivided into roads, bridges and culverts, other infrastructure, damages caused or the landslide events, the riverbank erosion, also the damage to land cover and natural resources. And also various points of interest also performer was created wherein the people who are going onto the ground can also collect some other points of interest as they went around and they see the place there. So the performers were designed, and this is the screenshot of the app. As I said, is an Android-based app. So once it is installed, so the person can just click on this, collect the field data, and then he can pick whether he want to collect the point, the line, or the polygon, and can use the relevant buttons like pick point. And then there's a provision of taking a photo. You can take a two photographs, and then the person can also directly send it to the Bhuvan portal. So as you can see here, the moment he stand at the location and click on the pick point, the lat longs are available, and also he can take the photographs which he can transmit. In this application, there was also a provision made for saving the data, because in some places the internet connectivity may be intermittent or may not be guaranteed. So hence there was provision of saving the data. And once he comes to the, let's say, the place where the internet connectivity is available, then the data could be transmitted in the later also. So those provision of offline saving was also available here. One more thing that we have also done was so here the people or the we have used for the university student from various universities like Garhwal and Kumaon University along with other organizations here. So we also conducted them basic training. So as you can see the dates which are mentioned here, there were two batches. And then and looking at the below pictures, what we also try to give them is an assessment of how the actual kind of event will look in and how they have to fill that performance, and some basic map reading and other information over total station will also given to them, so that they are also aware of the such kind of technologies that are available for the data collection. Primary aim was to empower them to know about the what kind of things they can observe and how they can fill that performer, along with also maybe providing them subsequent the enough knowledge to head start them so that they can collect the data in a proper manner. Because here, one of the limitation that people say about citizen science may be because they are volunteers, so there is a chances of errors coming in. But once we can inform them by through the training program, wherein how the performer has to be filled, what things to be kept in mind by filling different things, so the basic prerequisites and so on, so that that kind of errors could be avoided. So in a very short amount of time, more than close to 19,000 points were received, and you can see that the different teams were built and they went to different regions, and hence you can see some kind of a path that you can observe. So different teams went across different regions and they were also collecting the various points. The pie chart shows the distribution of the various points, regarding the damage of the other points of interest data that was collected. So you can see that POI was the most data, and there were other kinds of data sets also collected. The important thing, as I said, is using this power of the people, we are able to capture this huge amount of number in a very quick time. If you has only use the specialist, then maybe it will have taken a lot of time to collect such information. Now, from the Bhuvan application perspective, a dashboard was there wherein all the points that were submitted by the people on the ground could be visualized. So why they can select the different profiles. So profile here primarily means that the performer or the damage the points that we want to see. They can also select the date and other start date and end date. And here was also provision after the login that you can download as a KML or a shapefile. There were also provision of data verification was done subsequently, and then also the points were data checked because in order to use them in an optimum manner. So if somebody clicks on that particular push pin, so each push pin denotes one point that the people have volunteer have captured. The complete detail about that point is being available. ID number, let's say the profile name, which in this case is landslide, the name of the observer from which organization. I said Wardia Institute of Geological Marine Geography was also a part of this. So some of the people from there was also involved, along with the village, the tehsil name, the affected feature, how far it is from the distance, whether it is fully damaged, partially damaged. So all those as per the performers was collected. And most of these the important thing about the mobile app was the user has to only pick the category. So in that way, he was able to fill that thing very fast along with the capturing of the images. So clicking on this, the image can also be seen. The second project I want to talk about is the from the governance perspective, which is the citizen science-based Swachh Bharat turnkey solution, which we developed here at IERS. So there was a project called as the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan or a Clean India Mission, which was launched by the Prime Minister of India on the eve of October 2nd, 2014, which is, as you know, the October 2 is also being celebrated here as the birth anniversary of the Mahatma Gandhi, father of the nation. Now, to assist this end-to-end collection of the garbage and also for the Clean India campaign, we design a solution utilizing the citizen science. So herein, wherein there were two mobile apps created. One we call as a citizen app, which you can see on the left-hand side, and second for the cleaner, called as the service app, and third was a dashboard, which is a web application wherein the management, the reporting, the visualization could be done at the centralized location. So the solution consists of three applications, two mobile apps, one for the citizens to report about the garbage, one for the cleaner to assist in the cleaning operation, and third was a dashboard primarily for the municipal officer who can monitor, assign job, track job, and reporting and other features. So these are the basic components. So citizen app requires the user to register. Again, it is an Android app wherein he can collect the location of the garbage site, geotagging it, and you can also attach the photograph or upload the photograph. Another provision which was given in the citizen app was the submissions. You can see some other submissions or other people who in the locality who has also submitted such complaints. Apart from seeing his own submissions which he has made, or the he can monitor the status also. Now, once the complaint is registration is done and the people are start complaining on the about the garbage side, it comes to the dashboard wherein there were different modules created like login module, user management, vehicle management, the complaints assignment, visualization, routing, reporting, also with the various GIS layers were integrated. So in this dashboard, one can monitor the overall along with the various ward levels, what is the situation, how many complaints are coming, along with assignment of the job to the cleaner, and also deciding on the route that he should follow in order to complete that task. Once the job is assigned to the cleaner, from the cleaner app perspective, in the morning he need to just open the app. Obviously, he has registered that before that at the ward level again. The moment he put on the app, he will be knowing about the whatever task is being assigned to him, and he will go following the assigned route. Go to the first location, capture the image, clean the area, put the pre and post image, and similarly move to the next point as per the assigned route. And also the citizens are also updated through, they can also monitor through their app the situation as and when it is happening. So this is in more detail. So as I said, citizen app for reporting the garbage locations, the dashboard for visualization, reporting, vehicle management, job assignment, route determination, and cleaner app for the garbage reduction. So subsequently, we also got the copyright for this solution. And then these are some of the screenshots. So Citizen app is an Android-based app. So after registration, he can put on the app, collect the point from the GPS, and then enter a brief description about the garbage, one-line description, and you can take the photograph and you can upload. In the dashboard, it could be visualized at the whole municipality level or the ward level, along with assigning of the route determination, so that it is easier for the cleaner to clean the job. Once those task has been assigned, the service app or the cleaner can open his app, can see the assigned jobs, follow the route which is determined, go from one job to the other, take the pre and the post images, and then the status, as you can see from the red to the green, denotes how the task is being handled, and this could be monitored by the people also who have reported this garbage complaint. And then we have put the system to use also in the October 2016, where we involved over 1,000 participants. Now, these are from various universities here and along with the government institutes which are also participate. Here there were roughly around 3,300 garbage locations were tagged within 5 hours. And it was a effort where the volunteers, the faculty members and other people were also involved. And subsequently, this solution was released by His Excellency the Governor of Uttarakhand, the state here where we are, and then on the October 4, 2016. And you can see some other people. So he's Dr. Senthil Kumar sir. He was our former director. And then you can see in the behind Dr. Samin sir, our HOD, and Dr. Sanam Singh, who were our former dean academy. Subsequently, we went to the second level where we also take the use the thinking or the knowledge-based classification was also done, where all the pictures that were collected by the people of the ground would also categorize them as commercial, natural, open, water body kind of a thing, and other things based on these images were provided, wherein these were classified, and then total there were 100 PG students that were involved in this. And this shows the number of points under various categories. Now, if I just quickly summarize the typical workflow that you will come across under such projects will be that there should be a provision of data collection that could be either mobile or a web-based. Along with because we are talking about geographic citizen science, so there will be a provision of geotagging of data along with capture of rich data sets like images, videos, audio, etc., along with the transmission of data. Obviously, with the storage, keeping in mind the offline storage, especially if we talk about the mobile apps, followed by there has to be data quality check because this is, as I said, is a big issue when we talk about the people contributed or citizen contributed data. The people sometimes suspect the data quality, but putting those necessary checks, the training part, and also going through a data quality checking will also assist in this to resolve that issue. Finally, we also required a application wherein the data could be visualized, analyzed, and finally could be used in a proper manner. So these are the typical the elements that you can come across when we talk about a citizen science. And for more, you can refer to this book chapter. This the reference I have put it here. So this we have published the role of citizen science in Northwestern Himalaya is on disaster, bioresource, and governance. So here you can know more about the other in detail about some of the projects I've talked about and also the other relevant background on the subject. And these are some of the other references that I have used for this slide. Then thank you very much. So with this, I will be stopping it here and then we'll wait for your questions.